Hey guys, tonight we're taking a gentle journey back in time, all the way to the heart of Mesoamerica, to wander through the vibrant, bustling kitchens and fragrant gardens of the Aztec Empire. Imagine yourself stepping onto the warm, sun-drenched causeways of Tenochtitlan, the ancient capital, feeling the gentle breeze carry the scent of cooking maize and chilies. You can almost hear the soft rustle of corn leaves in a distant field, or the rhythmic grinding of metate stones as someone prepares tortillas. It's a world rich with flavors and traditions, a culinary landscape built on ingenuity and deep spiritual connection. You're about to discover the lost recipes of a civilization that truly lived and breathed through its food. But let's be honest, while their food was incredible, you probably wouldn't survive a single day in Aztec society without a serious case of cultural indigestion. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as you settle in, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Our culinary adventure begins, as so many good stories do, with maize. For the Aztecs, maize, or corn as we often call it, wasn't just a crop. It was the very essence of life, a sacred gift from the gods themselves. You see, their creation myths, particularly those involving the god Quetzalcoatl, often speak of humanity being formed from corn dough. So when you looked at a field of swaying maize, you weren't just seeing sustenance. You were seeing your own origins, your very being. It was a profound connection, far deeper than our modern relationship with, say, a microwave dinner. Cultivating maize was an art and a science, honed over centuries. The Aztecs were masters of agriculture, employing sophisticated techniques like the chinampas, those incredible floating gardens of Tenochtitlan. Imagine rafts of woven reeds, piled high with rich lakebed mud and decaying vegetation, anchored to the lake floor by willow trees. On these fertile plots, maize grew in abundance, along with beans, squash, and other vital crops. It was an incredibly efficient system, providing multiple harvests a year, a testament to their deep understanding of their environment. You're picturing it now, aren't you? Long rows of vibrant green stalks stretching across the shimmering lake, fed by constant irrigation. It sounds almost idyllic, doesn't it? Though, of course, you'd be doing the back-breaking work of digging up that lakebed mud, which probably wasn't quite as serene. The preparation of maize was equally crucial. You didn't just pick an ear of corn and eat it raw. Oh no, that would be far too simple. The maize kernels underwent a process called nixtamalization. This involved soaking and cooking the dried corn in an alkaline solution, usually lime water. Now, this might sound like a chemistry experiment, and in a way, it was. This seemingly humble step had revolutionary consequences. It softened the kernels, making them easier to grind, but more importantly, it released vital nutrients like niacin that would otherwise be locked away. Without nixtamalization, a maize-heavy diet would lead to pellagra, a nasty deficiency disease. So in essence, the Aztecs were nutritional scientists without even realizing it. They simply knew, through generations of empirical knowledge, that this was the way to prepare their sacred grain. Historians still argue whether the primary motivation for nixtamalization was nutritional benefit or simply improved texture for grinding. Either way, it was a culinary game-changer. Once nixtamalized, the softened corn was ground on a metate, a stone grinding slab, with a mano, a hand stone. This was often women's work, a continuous rhythmic sound echoing through Aztec homes. You'd spend hours grinding, a meditative yet physically demanding task, transforming the coarse kernels into a smooth, pliable dough known as masa. From this masa, everything sprung. The ubiquitous tortilla, of course, was the foundation of almost every meal. Imagine thin, warm, pliable discs, patted out by hand and cooked on a comal, a flat ceramic griddle. You'd use them to scoop up stews, wrap around fillings, or simply eat plain. It was their bread, their plate, and sometimes even their spoon. Beyond tortillas, masa was used to make tamales, steamed parcels filled with various ingredients, and atolli, a thick, warm corn gruel, often flavored with chili or honey, perfect for a chilly morning. It was a truly ingenious use of a single ingredient, creating a vast array of textures and flavors. From the humble tortilla, our journey takes us to the grander stage of Aztec feasts and festivals, where food transcended mere sustenance and became a profound expression of culture, religion, and social hierarchy. Imagine yourself not just eating, but participating in a spectacle where every dish told a story, every ingredient held meaning. These weren't just gatherings for a casual bite. They were elaborate, multi-day events, brimming with rituals, music, dance, and of course, an astonishing array of culinary delights. For the Aztec nobility and priests, feasts were a way to display immense wealth and power. You'd find yourself surrounded by a dizzying spread of dishes, far more varied than the daily fare. Think of tables laden with platters of roasted turkey, duck, and even venison, often seasoned with a dizzying array of chilies, from the smoky pasilla to the fiery serrano. While our modern palates might be accustomed to a single chili-induced sweat, the Aztecs mastered the subtle art of chili blending, creating complex flavor profiles that were anything but one note. Historians still argue whether some of the more exotic meats, like jaguars, were truly consumed at these feasts or more symbolic offerings. Given the general lack of fear from the jaguars themselves, it seems unlikely they just wander onto the dinner table. Beyond the meats, vegetables played a crucial role. You'd see vibrant squash, tender beans, and a surprising variety of root vegetables, many of which are less common today. But the true star, alongside maize, was often the cacao bean, the source of chocolate. However, this wasn't the sweet, milky chocolate bar you might nibble on before bed. Aztec chocolate was a bitter, frothy beverage, often spiced with chili, vanilla, or even flowers. It was typically reserved for the elite, warriors, and during important rituals. Imagine sipping a steaming cup of this dark, intense brew, the subtle heat of chili warming your throat, a world away from your usual hot cocoa. It was believed to impart wisdom and energy, truly a drink of the gods. You can almost feel the rich, earthy aroma wafting through the ceremonial hall. The preparation for these feasts was an enormous undertaking, involving countless cooks, grinders, and servers. You can picture the beehive of activity in the palace kitchens. Women kneeling at metates, grinding masa. Fires crackling beneath comauas. Vast clay pots simmering with complex stews. Remember that nixtamalization process? It was happening on an industrial scale for these events, ensuring there was enough masa for thousands of tortillas, tamales, and atolli. And imagine the logistics of gathering all the ingredients, some from distant lands, reflecting the vast reach of the Aztec trade networks. It was a logistical marvel, especially considering they didn't have refrigeration or even wheelbarrows in the European sense. They used human porters, known as tlamams, who were incredibly efficient. These feasts were also deeply intertwined with religious ceremonies. You might participate in a ritual where offerings of food were made to the gods, symbolizing gratitude for the harvests and a plea for continued bounty. Sometimes even more profound offerings were made, but we'll keep this a gentle, sleep-inducing journey, won't we? The act of sharing food was a communal bond, strengthening ties within the community and between humans and the divine. You'd witness intricate dances and hear hypnotic music, all while the comforting smells of cooking permeated the air. It was a sensory overload, yet strangely harmonious, a tapestry woven from spiritual devotion and delicious sustenance. Stepping out of the grand ceremonial halls, our culinary journey next takes us to the vibrant, bustling heart of Aztec daily life, the mercado or market. Imagine the cacophony of sounds, the kaleidoscope of colors, and the intoxicating aromas that would greet you as you stepped into one of these sprawling commercial hubs. These markets, like the famous one in Tlatelolco, were not just places to buy food. They were the social, economic, and informational arteries of the empire. You would find yourself immersed in a sensory experience unlike anything you know today, a bustling hub where every need could be met, from a fresh ear of corn to exotic feathers. As you wander through the market stalls, you'd be amazed by the sheer variety of ingredients on display. While maize was king, the Aztec diet was surprisingly diverse, a testament to their sophisticated agricultural practices and extensive trade networks. Picture baskets overflowing with colorful chilies of every size and heat level, plump tomatoes, verdant squash, and an array of beans in myriad hues. You'd see different types of avocados, from creamy smooth varieties to those with pebbly skins, alongside sweet potatoes and jicama. It was a true bounty of the land, far more varied than you might imagine for a civilization lacking domesticated cattle or pigs. Beyond the familiar vegetables, the market offered more intriguing sights. Imagine stumbling upon a stall piled high with insects, considered a delicacy by the Aztecs. You might see shimmering mounds of awodal, or waterfly eggs, sometimes called Aztec caviar, gathered from the lakes, or perhaps roasted grasshoppers, dried ant larvae, and even worms. Now, before you wrinkle your nose, consider the nutritional punch these packed, protein-rich and surprisingly sustainable. It's certainly a far cry from your typical grocery run, isn't it? Historians still debate the precise frequency with which these insects were consumed, but it's clear they were a valued part of the Aztec diet, not just a last resort. Perhaps a gentle crunch and nutty flavor, if you dared to try them. And then there were the fruits. You'd find sweet sapotes, juicy guavas, prickly pears, and mamey. Imagine biting into a ripe mamey. It's soft, reddish-orange flesh bursting with a sweet, unique flavor that defies easy description. These weren't just snacks. Many were incorporated into dishes or used to flavor beverages. You could also find a dizzying array of seeds, like chia and amaranth, both highly nutritious and versatile. Chia seeds, for instance, were a staple, providing energy for warriors and travelers. You'd mix them with water to create a sustaining drink, a sort of ancient energy shot. The market wasn't just about raw ingredients. It was also a place to purchase prepared foods. You might see women deftly patting out tortillas on the spot, cooking them on small comales over glowing coals, filling the air with that comforting, earthy aroma. Or perhaps you'd find tamales, ready-made and wrapped in corn husks, waiting to be steamed. You could grab a quick bite of atolli, a corn porridge, or a refreshing drink made from fruit or fermented maize. It was the original fast food, but with a far more wholesome and communal feel. The sounds of haggling, the soft chatter of merchants, and the rhythmic thump of a metate in the distance would create a soothing, almost hypnotic soundtrack to your browse. It's enough to make you drift off, isn't it? Beyond the well-known staples of maize, beans, and squash, the Aztec diet held a surprising array of lesser-known and unique foods and beverages, revealing a sophisticated palate and an ingenious ability to utilize everything their environment offered. You might think you know ancient diets, but prepare to be gently surprised. Consider, for example, the widespread use of amaranth, or huatlay, as the Aztecs called it. This tiny grain, though often overlooked today, was a powerhouse of nutrition for them, rich in protein and incredibly versatile. You'd find it popped like miniature popcorn, ground into flour for tortillas and tamales, or mixed with agave syrup to form zawali figures for religious ceremonies. These amaranth figures were so sacred, and their use so deeply intertwined with religious practice, that the Spanish conquistadors actively suppressed its cultivation, seeing it as a pagan ritual. Imagine a delicious, nutritious grain, so central to a culture that its very existence threatened an invading empire. It's a bit like trying to ban toast, isn't it? And speaking of surprising sources, the Aztecs were adept at harvesting from their lake environment. We've mentioned the ahuatl, those fascinating waterfly eggs. But they also consumed spirulina, a blue-green algae which they called Tenochtitlan. This wasn't just a supplement for health food enthusiasts. It was a significant source of protein, skimmed from the surface of Lake Texcoco and dried into cakes. Imagine a food that grows effortlessly on water, providing sustenance for thousands. It's a remarkable example of sustainable foraging, long before the term was even invented. You can almost picture the shimmering green film on the water, waiting to be gently gathered. Now, let's talk about beverages beyond that rich, bitter chocolate. While clean water was essential, the Aztecs enjoyed a variety of fermented drinks. Pulque, made from the fermented sap of the agave plant, was a common alcoholic beverage, often consumed during celebrations or by commoners after a long day's work. It had a milky, slightly viscous texture and a distinctive earthy flavor. While strictly controlled for younger people and priests, you'd find it offered in specialized taverns. Historians still argue about the precise alcohol content and social norms surrounding its consumption. Some suggest it was a mild social lubricant, others a significant part of ritual intoxication. Either way, it offered a different kind of buzz than the sacred chocolate. And then there were the more unusual items. Did you know the Aztecs ate certain types of dogs? Before you recoil, these were specifically bred, hairless dogs, known as itzcuintli or zalaiscuintli, raised as a food source. They were considered a delicacy, particularly for feasts. You might find them roasted, offering a tender, flavorful meat. It's a reminder that what constitutes a delicacy is entirely culturally relative. So, while your modern dog might be your best friend, for an Aztec, a specially bred pup might have been dinner. Don't worry, we're not suggesting you try this at home. This gentle historical tidbit is purely for intellectual consumption. The ingenuity of the Aztec diet lay not just in what they ate, but in how they sourced and prepared it, making the most of every natural bounty available. From tiny grains to lake algae, and even specialized canines, their culinary landscape was far richer and more complex than a simple bowl of corn. Our final foray into the fascinating world of Aztec cuisine takes us beyond mere taste and into the realm of food as medicine and magic. For the Aztecs, the line between sustenance, healing, and spiritual practice was beautifully blurred. Every ingredient, every meal, held a deeper significance, a connection to the natural world, the cosmos, and the very health of the body and soul. You're about to discover that their pantries were also apothecaries. Imagine yourself feeling a bit under the weather. Instead of reaching for a modern pill bottle, an Aztec healer might prescribe you a specific food. Take, for instance, chia seeds. We've already mentioned them as an energy booster, but they were also highly valued for their medicinal properties. You'd be told to mix them with water to create a soothing, almost gelatinous drink, believed to calm an upset stomach or even reduce fever. The sheer practicality and effectiveness of these natural remedies were astonishing. Historians still argue about the extent of their pharmacological understanding versus empirical observation, but the results spoke for themselves. Chilies, while primarily for flavor, also played a role in their medicinal practices. Certain types were believed to have properties that could alleviate respiratory issues or act as an anti-inflammatory. You can imagine a soothing, spicy broth being offered to someone with a cold, the warmth and capsaicin gently clearing their sinuses. And don't forget the ubiquitous cacao. Beyond its role as a ritualistic beverage for the elite, it was also considered a powerful tonic. It was believed to fight fatigue, aid digestion, and even act as an aphrodisiac. You might be prescribed a small, bitter cup of chocolate to boost your spirits or prepare you for a demanding day. It's a bit like being told to eat a specific kind of candy for your health, isn't it? Though, of course, their chocolate was far from candy. Food was also central to spiritual practices and rituals. The act of eating was often a communion with the gods, a way to show respect and seek blessings. Remember those amaranth sawali figures we discussed earlier? These were not just effigies. They were believed to embody the deity they represented. After the ceremony, parts of these figures would be ritually consumed, allowing the worshipper to literally ingest the divine essence. It was a profound act of devotion, far removed from simply sharing a meal. You can almost feel the hushed reverence in the air as these sacred meals were partaken. Even the preparation of food could be a ritual in itself. The slow, rhythmic grinding of maize, the careful selection of ingredients, the precise order of cooking, all infused with intention and respect for the bounty of the earth. You might witness a cook offering a small prayer of thanks before beginning their work, acknowledging the life force within each ingredient. This wasn't just about feeding the body. It was about nourishing the spirit, maintaining balance, and honoring the intricate web of life that sustained them. It speaks to a deep connection to their environment, a reverence for every plant and creature that provided sustenance. So, as you slowly drift off, imagine not just a plate of food, but a rich tapestry of history, ritual, and ancient wisdom woven into every bite. The lost recipes of the Aztec Empire weren't just about taste. They were about life itself, understood in a way that truly nourished body, mind, and spirit. Now, as the flavors of ancient Mexico gently recede, and the sounds of the bustling market fade into a soft hum, allow your mind to quiet. Feel the warmth of 1,000 suns, long set, on your imaginary cheek, and the distant echo of drums, now just a whisper. The stories are told, the history settled, like dust motes in a shaft of moonlight, dancing slowly before they, too, find their stillness. There's nothing more to do, nothing more to learn, just the gentle descent into peaceful rest. Let the ancient scents of cacao and maize lull you. Let the quiet rhythms of a bygone era guide you deeper, softer, into slumber. Breathe in slowly, exhale gently, and let go.